Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we're going to be looking at how to start an Amazon FBA business when you have an investment of between £1,000 and £2,000 or dollars, whatever, euros, doesn't matter, right? If you are interested in this sort of content, make sure you are subscribed with your notifications turned on. Let's get into the video straight away. Welcome if you are new here, and welcome back if you are not. My name is Jonny Bradley. I'm the founder of the Seller Pro Academy, where we help ordinary people create extraordinary things, just one product at a time. And today we are going to be looking at how you can start up selling on Amazon when you have a budget of around £1,000 to £2,000. And what does that look like? Where's your money going to go? How much can you spend on stock? And all that sort of good stuff. So as I've been doing lately, and I've been quite organized lately in terms of actually planning my videos, and previously I just kind of ran and just go off on one and see what happens, but today I actually have notes. I have notes. So there's a few things we want to go over, okay? And the reason for why I'm creating this video is that a lot of people ask me, actually every single day I get this question, probably multiple times a day, is how much do I need to start selling on Amazon? What's the ideal budget? Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just answer that question very simply with, I don't know. And it's not so much I don't know, it's more that it's kind of like saying, well, how long is a piece of string? How much is the best amount to start with? And there is no best amount to start with. However, once you have a budget, then what you need to do is work backwards from that budget so that you can then work out how much you actually can spend, right? How much you can spend on different parts of setting up to sell on Amazon. So if you have £1,000, that's fine. If you have 2,000, that's fine. If that's 5,000, that's fine. Of course, there'll be a point if you come to me and say, I've got 500 quid, can I start selling on Amazon FBA with private labeling? I'd probably say, no, you're gonna need more money. So there is gonna be a limit to that. There's gonna be a lower limit. There's not really an upper limit, but if you have 1,500 or 1,800 or 2,300, then those are all great amounts to start off. It's whatever you can afford to put into it. It's whatever you feel that you're able to invest, okay? It's up to you. It's not down to me. Most people, I would say, start between £1,000 and £2,000. That's just as like a broad kind of, most people do this that I know. Some people start with less, some people start with more, okay? So I'm gonna go through some costs right now and some kind of things that you're gonna need to know about. But what you need to do is you need to actually do them in reverse order. You have the amount that you can invest, and you start taking off things that are gonna be kind of like hard costs, fixed costs, and then you end up with the amount that you're able to spend on stock, okay? Now, there's a few things that I wanna talk about first in terms of how to make things most cost effective, because look, if you have a huge budget, then you're able to kind of spend a little bit more on photography and you know, services and things like that, and that's fine. But if you have a small budget, which is probably most people have a small budget, you want to be able to kind of pinch the pennies, right? So I'm going to give you three little tips just before we start on how you can be a little bit more cost effective and make your money go further, basically, particularly within your product images, because these are the things that sell your product. They need to be high quality, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to spend a lot of money on them. The first thing is getting models and photographers, okay? Often, photographers are expensive, models are expensive, but you may need them, but you may be on a tight budget. So I've done it both ways. I've paid a lot of money for photography and models, and I've paid next to nothing for photography and models, okay? I've done it both ways, and I've tried to work out how you actually do it, consistency on repeat. So what I'm going to talk about is how to get it done for very little money, if not for free, okay? And this depends on your own ability to follow these instructions, okay? If you want to do it for very little money or for free, then what you need to do is go onto Facebook and join groups that are like models and photographers, or models in, and then put your location. So if it's Hertfordshire, if it's London, if it's Essex, if it's wherever it may be, okay? Just find groups that have models and photographers, okay? These people go together. They're like cookies and cream, love it, right? Peas in a pod, you could say. Models love photographers, photographers love models. So you want to get in there. So you join these groups, and what you need to then do is just have a look around and see what kind of group it is, just see how people kind of talk and stuff like that, because you're going to need to understand how to communicate with these people, because at the end of the day, this is sometimes their business, it's sometimes something that they're aspiring to do. So you don't want to be insulting, you don't want to say something that's stupid, okay? Now, what you do want to do is you want to create a post. okay, and you want to be professional in your post, you want to ask for something called a TFP shoot, okay, and a TFP, and what that stands for is time for prints. So basically, normally what that means is that a model will give their time for the photos. Okay, so they'll do the photo shoot for free, the photographer will do the photo shoot for free, and they will exchange. So the model will exchange their time, and obviously the photographer will exchange their time, but at the end of it, they both get the prints, right? They both get the photos, and they can use it for their portfolios. And what often happens is this is for free. You know, because they're both putting time in, okay, they're both putting time in, they're both putting resources in, they both get something out of it. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. However, you coming in as a third party means that it may not be as mutually beneficial. So what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I want to do a TFP shoot. We're a whatever brand and we have this product, and we'd really like some people that are looking to build their portfolio within the e-commerce or the product niche or whatever it may be, okay? And you put this post out. Also saying that you're willing to cover expenses, because you don't know where people are going to be. If you're willing to cover expenses because you are the third party here, then I think it's kind of a nice thing to do to say, look, if you need to get a train to this place and you're good and you want them, then yeah, pay for their expenses. I think that's perfectly reasonable to do, but they're not going to be expensive, right? Don't get someone from like bloody France to come over to England and pay their expenses. Obviously don't do that. Just get someone that's local, okay, that's in that group. The misconception here might be, well, they're obviously not going to be very good. And that can happen. I've done a shoot with models and a couple of them were really not very good. They were bad, and I just don't hire them again, don't use them again. But some of them were really good and will use again. So there is a little bit of kind of like, oh, is this going to be good? Are they going to be bad? But if you're not paying any money for it, well, who the hell cares, right? If you're paying a bit of expenses, it's really not going to cost you more than like 20, 30 pounds. The main thing you need to do is get things like their portfolios or their Instagram. A lot of the models and the photographers will have Instagram accounts because it's like a photo platform, and just look at the content that they're putting out. Look if it's high quality, if they look like they're comfortable, being a model, comfortable in photography, if they've done portrait shots before, if you're needing an actual model like that, if you need a dog or a baby, then make sure they've done that sort of photography before. And quite often you'll find that a lot of the people that are doing these TFP shoots, they're just trying to build their portfolio out, and you're going to help them, they're going to help you, and it's going to be really, really cool. I would say don't waste your time by someone that has zero experience, because what I found is when you have particularly models that don't know how to pose, then it's going to be really, really tricky to get good photos out of it. Equally, if you have a photographer that doesn't know how to shoot or doesn't have the right camera equipment, it's going to mean that your time's going to be kind of wasted because you're not going to get that great photos. So just make sure that you do your due diligence and you just check into them and just make sure that they have some level that it looks quite good, right? They have a product, right? They have a product which looks good. And I think the other thing is just make sure it aligns with your brand. So that's a really, really easy, quick tip that you can go in action today, and it's going to cost you very little money, if not for free, depending on the kind of location and stuff like that, where you can save on costs. Equally with graphic designers and 3D renderers, I would use Upwork.com. Go on there, create a job for a 3D designer or a graphic designer, put a low bid on it, a low budget, $20, $30, and people will apply for it. Again, vet them and just make sure that they're good, and you'll probably be able to get high-level graphic design or high-level 3D renders for an extremely cheap price. I've done this many times. It works, okay? Many of my students have done this. It works. So that means that you don't have to spend £500 on your product photography and your graphic design. You can spend maybe under £100, which is crazy, crazy good value for money, especially as that £100 is going to make you thousands in the future. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is profit margins, okay? Now, profit margins are very, very important, and what you need to understand before we go into how much money you're going to spend and what your profit margin is for your product is you need to understand that most of the time, if you do it right and you brand your product and it's good, it offers the customer a better solution, it stands out in the market, your picture's good, blah, 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 you've done it correctly, then your profit margin will will, I was about to say decrease, it will increase over time because of a few reasons. First of all, you're probably able to negotiate better with your supplier. Now that you have a relationship with them, you might be able to order more units, which reduces the cost, okay? You may be able to move from air shipping to sea shipping, which reduces the cost. It doesn't mean that the selling prices reduce, it just means that your profit margin increases. So as time goes on, you'll be able to increase your profit margin by reducing your hard costs, your like fixed costs, right? Your direct costs. But also things like your advertising are worst when they are new, because you have absolutely no data for your Amazon advertising. So at the beginning you'll be spending money and your ACoS will be a bit higher, you'll be making less profit that way. But over time you're able to analyze, you're able to optimize your advertising, your PPC, so that you can actually spend less to make the same amount of sales, or less to make more sales. And that will again increase your profit margin from when you have it at the beginning. So just be aware, there's lots of things that kind of make this up. Equally, you may be spending more on outsourcing things like your PP optimization. So just have to understand that generally that when you start, your profit margin will probably be the lowest, okay? But it will increase over time. Again, then going from back to front, from kind of the opposite way around, to launch your product, you're going to want to, again, either spend a bit more on PPC, on maybe giveaways, on promotions, and you need to decide how you're going to launch your product, or what's going to be the best way to launch your product, and maybe dedicate a little bit of your kitty just aside for doing that, because your launch is really, really important to the success of your business. My least favorite way of doing a launch is giveaways, because you're giving away your product, right? But it's one that you can use in conjunction with other stuff. So just be aware, again, with particularly things like PPC, that you're going to want to allocate a little bit more budget for your PPC at the beginning, because you need to spike it, you need to get that BSR down and get some sales in. So just be aware that you're going to want to spend a little bit of money on that. Going back again, you will need things like services. So if you're using something like JungleScout or Viral Launch or Helium 10 or like keyword research tools, you're going to need to pay for those services. You don't want to do these for free. There's lots of services that do them for free, but they tend to have poor quality data. And at the end of the day, this is really important. Data is incredibly important. You need to make sure that you get it right. So product research services, or SEO services in like Helium 10, then yeah, definitely you need to budget yourselves for those, depending if you're like paying monthly or yearly or whatever it may be. I do have some discount codes, which if you want to email me or leave me a comment down below, I'll fling out some discount codes for you as well. But again, you need to budget for those depending on which one you want to go for. If you want to spend the most amount, you could go for JungleScout. If you want to find something that has kind of everything in one place and is a little bit cheaper, go for Helium 10. Don't go for the really, really cheap ones. That's just my personal opinion. Nothing against them. It's just I don't think they're very good. Then we're getting down to, okay, what is the price point, and what is the unit cost that we're looking for? So this is the kind of stuff that you really need to understand. That everything we've been through previously is so that you can understand what budget you have remaining, okay, and a rough budget that you have remaining. So let's say you started with £2,000. We're going to take off a bit of money for advertising. We're going to take a bit of money off for your listing photos and 3D renders and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to over budget that about £500, okay? So I'm going to say it's going to cost £500 to get everything done, and that's an over budget, right? It probably is not going to cost 25% of your budget to be able to do that. We then have £1,500 left, okay? Now I'm going to need a calculator because I'm dumb at maths. So how much can we spend on stock, and what is the price point of the products that we need to research with the remaining £1,500 that we have, okay? So £1,500. Let's say there is a product that sells for £20. Keep it nice and easy. It sells on Amazon for £20. Then that you've been doing your research based on things that sell between like £18 and £22. Okay, so you've gone on JungleScout, gone on Helium 10, you're like, yeah, okay, I want to find products that sell between these prices. Now, do you have enough money to buy the stock? That's the question. So there's two things you need to look at. Firstly is how many units they're selling a month. Secondly is how much do those units roughly cost. You're not going to get an exact cost, but you need to know roughly how much they cost. So let's say they sell 500 units per month. Okay, on average, most of them are doing around 500 units. Just keep the maths nice and easy, even though I'm still going to use a calculator. 500 units. Put that in a calculator. Now let's say that the unit cost for that is going to be £5, right? So 500 times 5, because you're going to want at least a month's worth of supply. That's going to end up at £2,500. But you only have £1,500 to spend. So you will not be able to afford that product. So what you then need to do is either find a cheaper manufacturer for it, where it'd be half basically, or you need to reduce your the price of the product that you're looking for. So then you go down to £15 and you think, okay, I can get this for £3, and they sell 400 a month, so you do 400 and you can actually get it landed for £3. That means you have 1,200 to spend on stock, and you have a 1,500 limit. You would be able to afford that stock. Okay, do you understand how that works? So all you need to do is take roughly about a month's worth of supply. If you can do a little bit more than that, fantastic, but I would say order no less than a month's worth of supply. And then you find the unit cost by going on Alibaba or whatever one you want to use. Go on Alibaba, start trying to figure out the rough unit cost. You don't have to get the exact unit cost, get the rough unit cost, and then you kind of work with that to think, is this even worth my time? Is it worth me looking into it? Is it worth me negotiating? Is it worth me putting the effort into the branding and stuff like that? Because if you can't afford it, there's no point looking at that product anymore. If you can't afford it, do not do it. And this is why when you have more money to invest, you have more options. If you have £5,000 to invest, that means you could go for the product that is £5 landed in your country. And it does mean that you can afford to buy 500 units. You could afford to buy a lot more units, right? But you have a little bit of a buffer. Or you could start going for, a cheaper product and do 2 cheaper products if you really want to. Or you go for a slightly more expensive product. It just gives you more options the more money you have. The less money you have, then you need to be going and looking at the cheaper products to sell on Amazon, particularly things that are small and lightweight, because things are a little bit bigger. And I'm not talking about big, right? Even if you talk about like the water bottle and stuff like that, they don't have to be big, but volume takes up space within an airplane or a ship, and you have to spend money on that. It costs more in shipping. Same with weight, it costs more in shipping. So those things can quite kind of add up the cost on the product. So if you're going for something that's cheap, if it's 10 to 12 pounds, whatever it may, 10 to 15 pounds, then make sure that it is very small and light, and you can get it landed very, very cheap, because at the end of the day, there's not going to be a tremendous amount of pounds profit margin. You may have a good percentage profit margin, but you want to try and get that unit cost as cheap as possible, and of course, get it launched, marketed for as cheap as possible as well, so you make your money go as far as possible so you can reinvest. To give an example of this, I have a student called Michael. He started about a year ago. He started with about between 800 and £1,000, so not a lot, okay, very kind of a small budget, I would say, for everything, including all the photos, all that sort of stuff, and he was consistently making around 5,000 to 6,000 in sales every single month. Launched a second product, didn't go as well, the second product, and he realized the mistakes he made, kind of got a bit cocky maybe, and thought, I know what I'm doing. And then the third product is just about to come out. So it can definitely you can definitely be in a position where you don't have a lot of money now, but it slowly builds up over time. And even if you're making 1,000, 2,000 profit per month, that will build up, and you're able to then go into the products that are a little bit more expensive if you want to, or you can continue with products that are cheaper. It just depends on what you want to do. So if we just cover this again, we kind of want to work backwards. We look at the marketing costs, we look at the cost of creating your listing, and we remove that from your budget. We remove all the things like the setup fees in terms of services, creating a company, all that sort of stuff. You can remove that from your budget, and then you're left with how much you can actually invest in stock. And that's when you need to work out how many units you can get at what price to be able to be within your budget. And that is how you can start between £1,000 and £2,000, or £5,000 and £10,000. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Hopefully guys, you got a lot of value out of that video. Hopefully that you also did get some little tidbits of information, some top tips. And if you did, I want to know what you found valuable with this video, because it helps me make them better for you guys, right? For all of you that are interested, here we go. Very, very soon we have the One Product Strategy book being released. They are being printed at the moment, so the first batch is being printed. So hopefully they're going to be out very, very soon. If you do want to get your hands on that, then all you have to do is just go down in the description. There'll be a waiting list. It'll say oneproductstrategy.com/waitlist. Go to that, put your name down, and we'll send you an email when we know the launch date, and you can get one of these. It's going to be free, which is pretty cool. There'll be kind of a few pounds shipping and handling. I may do it in dollars, so I don't know, but it is going to be worldwide shipping as well. That's going to be a really, really good tool if you are looking to sell on Amazon and you want to be able to do it as cheap as possible. I have some more tips and tricks in that book as well, and particularly we talk about some theory that you need to understand so you can be as effective as possible when you're actually creating your Amazon listing and creating your product to sell, so you can kind of dominate your market. Any questions you have, feel free to put them in the comments. Feel free to send me a little message on Instagram. It's at Jonny Bradley UK. I'll try and get back to as many people as possible. And of course, if you do want to join the Seller Pro Academy, you can do with a link down in the description, along with some free training I have as well. Right, that's enough self-promotion. Make sure you are subscribed with your notification turned on. And remember, you're just one product away. Bye-bye.